Hey, welcome to a new episode of Last Call Baseball. I'm Dorian. Come on in, the water's warm. Remember, we changed our name from Hipster Baseball Podcast to Last Call Baseball. I thought about the name change for a few weeks. I think definitely a few weeks. But something else that I always think of, we always have to play like fantasy ownership in our mind. Would you rather own your own favorite sports team or own a part of the music of your favorite artist? And that's a dilemma you have this week, my friends, because last month, Liberty Media, who owns the Atlanta Braves, did a stock split off of the Braves back on July 18th. Liberty Media not only owns the Braves, they also own other companies, in the entertainment field like Sirius XM, Formula One. Everyone's all about Drive to Survive. I actually watched Drive to Survive like the first two seasons, and then I haven't followed up, but I loved it. I need to get back into, I think they were like in season 5 or 7 of Formula One, Drive to Survive on Netflix. And Liberty Media also owns Live Nation, which, if you know, Live Nation is basically the reason why your sister, your cousin, your daughter was unable to attend the Taylor Swift concert. So, boo. Big thumbs down to Live Nation and the overlords, Liberty Media. You're a sports fan. I'm a big Braves fan. You can go on to TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, etc. You open up your brokerage account, or if you already have a brokerage account, you can buy one share of the Atlanta Braves. What about Robinhood? Please don't open a Robinhood account. Be a grown-up and go like to Fidelity or something. Just don't go to Robinhood. You're a sports fan. You're a businessman. You're a businesswoman. Why wouldn't you buy the Atlanta Braves? Look. The Braves right now in 2023, they have the best record in Major League Baseball. They have the best run differential in Major League Baseball. They're in first place in the National League East Division. The franchise won the World Series 2 seasons ago, and they're very well positioned to go deep into the playoffs again this year. And they also have one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball, the right fielder Ronald Acuna Jr. Here's another question. What are you getting if you actually buy 1 share, 10 shares, 1,000 shares, 10 million shares of the Atlanta Braves? As an owner, you already, like I said, you own part of the Atlanta Braves. And that package comes with the real estate, which is actually probably almost, if not, it soon will be at the same level of value as the actual team. The area outside of Truist Park called the Battery, which is basically composed of restaurants, bars, a hotel. It's just mixed use development. I think they even have like office buildings. I don't really remember. And the Braves have one of the top 5 home attendants in the league, which means butts in the seat, which means people paying $27 a beer, $500 for a slice of hot dog. All that revenue would be going to you. Not really, not theoretically. It would be increasing the value of the team. So if you buy just 1 share, if you buy 300 shares, if you buy 3 million shares of the Braves, are you going to be able to call up general manager Alex Anthopoulos and tell him, Alex, I need you to sign Shohei Ohtani in the offseason? As an owner of the Braves, are you going to be able to call up the manager Brian Snitker and say, hey, swap out left fielder Eddie Rosario after the 7th inning because he can be a defensive liability? Are you going to be able to tell Anthopoulos, look, next year I need you to draft Derek Curiel, a young 18-year-old outfielder from Orange Lutheran High School, who's actually from West Covina. So that's kind of not really in the Los Angeles area where Max Fried is originally from. The answer to all those 3 questions is obviously no. You're not going to get a direct line like some like old Cold War U.S. Soviet red, what was that old red phone to Alex Anthopoulos, to Brian Snitker, to anybody in the Braves executive organization. But it's still fun because so often, whatever sport you like, you're like, man, if I had the money, I would buy my favorite hockey team. I would buy my favorite baseball team. I'd buy my favorite football team. This is actually your opportunity to do it, and on the cheap. Because in the National Football League, the Washington Commanders, or I think they're still called the Commanders, they just got sold for like $6 billion. You don't need to be raising billions of dollars to buy your favorite team. On Friday, August 4th, the Braves, 1 share of the Atlanta Braves closed at $46.20. That is much more manageable than trying to raise $6 billion. Whether you have it in liquid cash, not a lot of people have that amount of money, even billionaires, when their net worth is $1 billion, their net worth is 10 billion. That doesn't actually mean that they have $10 billion in liquid assets. Look, and you can tell me, dude, I like your podcast, but I don't like the Braves. And even if it's for $46.20, I'm not buying one share of the Braves. All right, fine. What about this? This is something else that interested me as well. What about buying a part of Led Zeppelin, the legendary 1960s and 70s British rock band? The former Led Zeppelin manager, Peter Grant, who passed away in 1995, he left 20% of his stake in one of the many companies that managed Led Zeppelin to his two kids. Obviously, 10% for his son, 10% to his daughter. They're obviously now grown adults, I think they're probably senior citizens now or close to it. Anyways, and the funny thing is, talking about Led Zeppelin, just before I started recording, I actually was listening to the song Black Dog, the 1971 song from Led Zeppelin. I love Zeppelin. Every time that I record a podcast, I always listen to music to get me in a different mindset. And I love to do my own little mini karaoke version. As badly as I sing, I still love to belt out some random songs that come on my Spotify playlist. Anyways, Helen Grant, the daughter of Peter Grant, she's going to sell her 10% share. And she said, quote, "I've got 5 children, 4 stepchildren, and 7 grandchildren. It's time to move on," end quote. So what you're looking at is probably Helen Grant's like, I have 10%. I'm not going to split this. I'm just speculating. I'm not going to split my 10% of Led Zeppelin amongst her 5 children, 4 step. This is basically 16 people. And God knows if her husband's still alive or ex-husband or who knows. So good for her. She wants money. She wants to leave a legacy to her family. And that made me think, if the Braves are probably worth around $2 billion, I would say closer to $3 billion, the Atlanta Braves. What is the worth of Led freaking Zeppelin, one of arguably the greatest rock and roll band of the 20th century? You could do a comparison. Bob Dylan, who I'm not that big of a fan of, he sold his publishing rights for about $150 to $200 million. Bruce Springsteen, everyone loves Born in the USA. Beyond that, I probably couldn't name more than 2 songs of Bruce Springsteen. He sold his publishing rights for about $550 million. David Bowie, who I freaking love, he sold his publishing rights for around $250 million. But let's be real, Led Zeppelin is worth a heck of a lot more than those 3 legendary artists. Let's say conservatively, I mean super conservative, that overall Led Zeppelin's publishing rights are worth $500 million, $500 million. We're being very conservative. 10% of that, which is what Helen Grant owns, is $50 million. Not a bad haul. I would love to personally buy both the entire Atlanta Braves and Helen Grant's 10%. But I'm going to be real with you. It's a lot more attainable to buying one share of $46.20 or buying 20 shares, 50 shares, 1,000 shares than it is wiring $50 million, probably a heck of a lot more than that, to Helen Grant and her bankers in London. And if you're not a Led Zeppelin fan, if you're not an Atlanta Braves fan, you can still buy a couple of other teams, professional teams that are publicly traded. Manchester United in the English Premier League, the soccer team. Football. And in New York, you got the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers. You can go on your brokerage account and buy I think it's Madison Square Garden Group or Entertainment. Anyways, you can look it up. I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was super cool that you could actually own the only baseball team that's publicly traded. Eventually, I would probably think like in a year or so, the Braves are going to go private. Some dude and some team is going to come in and be like, look, we'll pay you guys $2.7 billion. And the team is no longer publicly traded. They'll pay you out. You'll cash out. But it's awesome. So I genuinely own, I would say, 0.01% of the Atlanta Braves, which is cool. And that's going to last until some dude a lot more wealthy than all of us is going to go in and be like, all right, everyone, here's your check. Get out of here. I'm the owner. Yes, I'm proud to own more than one share of the Braves, but not the majority, unfortunately. But I'm still going to try to call up the Braves general manager, Alex Anthopoulos, and tell him, dude, you need to sign Shohei Ohtani. And this week's guest doesn't personally know Shohei Ohtani, but she is Japanese and she is a baseball fan. This week, our special guest is Nanami, a translator from Japan. Nanami, welcome to Last Call Baseball.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you for joining us. And I want to let everyone know that you are a translator in three different languages. You speak your native language is Japanese. Apparently,
Uh-huh.
you also can speak and translate Swedish and English.
Uh-huh.
You are an,
Yeah.
you are an art enthusiast. You are a pet enthusiast. But before I let you talk about all that, I want to tell you that the way I prepared to talk to you, do you know what I did to prepare to talk to you? I
No?
listened to Morbid Angels, the death metal
Oh.
band from Tampa, Florida, specifically Morbid Angels' 1993
Oh.
album Covenant, because our research team
Wow.
here found out that you are a big death metal fan. Where in the world
Wow.
does that come from?
It's so cool that you listen to Morbid Angel. Yeah, I've been a metalhead all my life. I don't really show that on my Instagram. How did you find that out?
It was on your it's on your Twitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I started to talk a little bit about metal yes, recently.
So what
But
about so what about death metal actually turned you on when you were younger and be like I love like you said like that you became a metalhead.
oh, I hmm, I started to listen to metal because I was studying abroad in America when I was in high school, and the people who became friends with me first were metalheads. So they're the nicest people. Like I didn't speak English at all, but they welcomed me in their group and I hit off with them and yeah. So America got me into it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I when I saw it, I was like, wow, I had like a flash, like, wow, I actually had that album, the Covenant album. And then I'm not really a death metal fan, but the only death metal bands that I know are obviously Morbid Angels and Sepultura, the Brazilian
Oh
band.
yeah.
But after
Yes.
that, I don't know anything new or anything like that. But I thought that was pretty cool that someone from Japan is a huge death metal fan. And I
Oh
was like, I have
yeah.
to get into the mindset to talk to you.
Oh, that's so cool.
But the reason I asked you to come on wasn't because you speak Swedish or you're a metalhead. Is I actually found out that you're a big fan now of baseball, specifically in Japan with the Yokohama Den Bay Stars, which is in the
Yes.
Japanese Central League, and specifically the American pitcher Trevor Bauer. How in
Hmm.
the world? Again, I'm really interested. Being a metalhead, being a big
Yeah.
fan of Trevor Bauer and the Bay Stars. How did that come about?
Okay. So it's truly surreal for me to be discussing baseball today, considering that I had no knowledge of the sport until this year. And it all started with my American friend Michael, whom I connected with on Twitter, and we would usually talk about our mutual passion for metal music, particularly the Japanese death metal scene. And I didn't know Michael was not only into metal but also an avid baseball fan and closely followed the Trevor Bauer. And in December of the last year, Michael stumbled upon a tweet from Trevor stating that his team was in search of a Japanese translator who can also do voice acting. Michael immediately thought of me and encouraged me to apply for the position. And I decided to give it a shot. So I reached out to the team's manager and they responded with a test tryout, but I didn't hear back for a month and I thought I would not get selected. However, during the tryout process, I discovered that Trevor was also a fan of metal music. So I made
I had
sure
no
to
idea.
highlight it. Yeah, I made sure to highlight it, try to stand out among other translators. Then I received news that Trevor Bauer was coming to Japan to play this year, and he would be joining the Yokohama Basters, my local team. And in April, I finally signed a contract with his team as a translator. So throughout this journey, I still wonder if someone on the team considered the fact that I'm a metalhead. But regardless, I'm thrilled to be a part of this incredible opportunity to bridge the language gap and contribute to the baseball community in Japan.
That is really cool. I had no idea. So tell us, what do you know what bands Trevor likes when it comes to metal?
Yeah, he had mentioned like In Flames, Soilwork, I'm on a Earth. That's his song when he comes out. And these are like Swedish melodic death metal.
Yeah, I don't know why
That's like a genre.
the Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and
Yeah.
Denmark, they love that dark death
Yes.
metal. I guess
Yes,
probably
they
because it's
do.
the reflection of the weather.
Oh yeah, I think so too. They have long winter, really dark.
You basically got into baseball because a friend of you said, "Hey, by the way, there's an actual American baseball. There's an American athlete that's looking for a translator," and you're like, "Who? And what do they play? And what is this game of baseball?" And now apparently you're like a big diehard baseball fan. Did you have any?
Yeah,
Did you like any sports before April of 2023?
zero. No, I've never even watched a baseball game on TV. Like even
Oh, even when you lived
the
in the U.S.
Otani WBC.
Yeah,
Huh?
the World Baseball Classic. Oh,
Yeah,
you didn't even watch when
I,
Japan won the
I
World
didn't
Baseball
even
Classic.
watch it. Hmm?
That is hilarious. Because Japan won the World Baseball Classic, I think, in the middle of March. So Japan basically won the World Baseball Classic a few weeks before you signed the contract to become Trevor Bauer's video
Yeah,
log translator.
yeah. So yeah, so I have a question for you. Um, is there goth girls who love baseball in America?
That is a really good question. And if there is, I'm making a point to find them because I always like to have very interesting, eclectic guests here. So that's actually, I'm going to write that
Mm-hmm.
down. I'm going to see if there is goth baseball fans. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, so I might just be the like first goth who loves baseball.
I think you should change
Like,
all your social media handles to first girl goth baseball fan or something like that. We'll work on the branding. Okay.
yeah. Like, I think that's why, like, I don't dress golf, but like my mindset has always been on the darker side. And I think that's
Like
why
how
I
dark?
never came across sports or baseball.
But when you mean dark side, like what? Like pushing old ladies
Well,
across the street, like taking candy from babies. Like how dark are you going here?
no, no. Like I really like wicked underground bizarre arts and like just true crime and dark stories and scary movies.
Have you given any advice to where to go catch the best death metal bands venues in Tokyo or in Greater Tokyo, like Yokohama, to Trevor Bauer's team or anyone else, any other player on the Bay Sox that's a death metal fan? Death metal fan. I don't think they are, but have you given them any tips on where to catch cool bands in the Greater Tokyo area?
Oh, I'm going to the venue called What's Up today, but that I think I'm going there first time today. That's a very small
But you didn't tell Trevor about
venue.
it. But that's good.
No,
Maybe
I
he needs to
don't.
concentrate on pitching
Oh,
for the Bay Sox.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I usually go to very small local shows. Like I'm friends with them, so I don't know if
You know what? As a
like I know everyone in this scene. It's just such a small scene. Like when it comes to particularly death metal scene in Japan, it's very small. But heavy metal is can be big, but
right, because death metal is more of a
um,
subset of metal is as like the umbrella, but then under the umbrella of metal is like heavy metal and then death metal, and then I have no idea what other metals there
yeah,
may be. Silver
black
metals,
metal
gold
and
metal,
doom metal,
black metal,
grindcore,
plutonium metal.
stonecore.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the periodic table here, but yeah. As American baseball fans, when watching baseball in the US is very different than watching baseball in, let's say, the Dominican Republic, in Japan,
Mm,
or anywhere else, as you had mentioned, you've never actually even watched baseball, much less attend until the past few months.
mm.
Tell us like what's a normal way to watch baseball in person in Japan? Because I want to go to Japan and I'd love to go see baseball in Asia, to see baseball in Korea, see baseball in Japan, see baseball in Taiwan, but specifically Japan. Like, what's very special on watching a baseball game in person in Japan that Americans may find a little different?
Mm. Yeah, that's what Trevor said on his vlog too. But it was an amazing experience for me. Like I went there for the first time and I'm so glad I got to know baseball. I love it because the energy at the ballpark was simply insane. Like the audience was so wild and enthusiastic. It feels like they're having Ozfest every single day.
Ozfest. Do they still
Yeah.
have Ozfest? Because I think Ozzy Osbourne retired. Do they still have the Ozfest?
I don't follow him now, but
Hmm.
I have attended before. Yeah.
So how do you reconcile the fact that if you're in the metal period, you have to wear. If not, you're going to get kicked out of the metal community. You have to wear black. But
Oh,
the Bay Sox colors are blue and white. How do you reconcile that when you're in the stands?
um, like recently, the death metal scene in Indonesia is really big, and they sell different colors shirts, and they're in now in the specific like Asian death metal scene. So I bought a blue tie dye metal shirt the other day, and I love it because it's Baster's color.
So in Japan, if you're a metalhead and if you're wearing blue, then they automatically assume that you're Indonesian.
Mhm. Yeah, still not many
I know I'm
metal
joking.
bands really sell blue colors.
So we established the fact that you're a smarty pants. You speak Japanese. Obviously, you speak English very well, and you also speak Swedish. Where in the world did Swedish come from? I mean, don't no, I
uh,
know Swedish came from the country of Sweden, but where did you come across and be like, I love how Swedish sounds, and I want to become fluent in it?
I was once married to a Swedish man, and that's how I learned
Those are the
Swedish.
best
I lived
tutors.
in Sweden, yeah, for 2 years. Yes, and his name is Bjorn Strid. He's a leader singer for Soilwork, and it's also super cool that Trevor listens to Soilwork too.
Oh wow.
So it was like a coincidence. Like for me, like it was, I was like, oh, I need to be his translator.
That is pretty cool. I actually saw a video of Trevor Bauer. He let out recently, but he was speaking in English in this one. I don't speak Japanese, so it was in English. He was just practicing pitching on his slider, and I think that came out like a few days ago. But so I didn't hear your voice or see the Japanese characters because obviously it doesn't. I wouldn't be able to read that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did see a video of Trevor Bauer a few days ago of him pitching. What do you like best
Mm-hmm.
about baseball now that you're actually a fan of not just a player, one of the players who's actually one of your bosses, just the sport in general? What's one of your favorite things that you've actually enjoyed?
I love going to the actual games to watch the game, and like when I watch baseball, nine innings is pretty long, but it doesn't feel long. Like I get really immersed in it. Like there's so much drama, and I don't know. I get very emotional, and I like that excitement.
Have you managed to
Mm.
get any of your death metal friends to go to a Bay Sox game with you?
That's what I've been trying. Like I try to find like who can be secretly baseball fans
So they're
among
basically
my
telling you,
friends.
Nanami, I'm not going unless they play baseball at midnight when the Dark Lord comes out. No, I'm joking. All right, so not everything is about darkness and not everything is about baseball. Also, I know you're a little bit shy about this, but I know you have a more creative side besides speaking multiple, being multilingual. What kind of art do you like? And
Mm,
I find it interesting that you love art. I think you love art, but
yeah,
then
I
you also like
do.
metal bands, and baseball. Tell us about the art that you love.
Like Instagram is a good source where I can find really weird things, like new arts and
What's weird?
I don't remember like the artist names right now. I
Oh,
can't
here,
come up, but
yeah, that's fine about the artist name, but like, what makes the work weird?
mm,
Is it the material that they use? Is it
the motifs.
okay? Also, Japan is also known for anime.
Yeah,
And tell us about what is this Galverse?
Galvez.
Yes. What
Oh,
is Galverse?
oh, that's uh the four two Japanese girls and two Australian guys. They teamed up to make Galvez last year, and that's like um it's a NFT project in the beginning. So they released 8,888 gals as NFT
So
and
what NFT meaning non-fungible token, but what is the meaning? What's the meaning behind what's the symbolic meaning behind 8,888 NFTs?
uh I think they did it because it was a new thing to do it to create many arts with AI generated.
So it's an anime production studio that uses AI instead of
No,
illustrators.
AI, NFT art came first, and then their goal was to sell them and use that money to make an anime. So anime will come next year.
And do
So
you have
NFT art first.
right?
Mm.
Are you working with them, or are you just like a big fan of Galvers?
Oh, I know them, and I'm helping them translate or interpret.
Translate into Swedish or into death metal
Japanese.
lyrics?
That would be like I'm thinking about Key and Peele skit there, like when Keegan he
Yeah,
interprets into. Have you seen that?
I've seen a
Jordan
couple of
Peele
I
does
I can I've
Obama
oh
Obama reaction
when he's going on
and
a shaking
anger
hands.
interpret.
Is that
Yeah,
the
like
one?
anger translator.
Right. Yeah, that Keegan and Peele. I see. I watched only a couple of their shows on here in the U.S. It's on, I think it used to be on Comedy Central, but they have
Yeah.
all those really short clips on YouTube. Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I can watch them forever. I'm a weeb for
you're
American culture. Do you
you're
know
a
the word weeb?
weeb, WEB.
Yeah,
No, I don't know what that is.
WEEB.
No, I don't
That's
know.
that's what people like usually look down on Americans who are into Japan and anime and stuff like that too much. Like American nerds who are into
You mean
Japanese
like
culture.
dweebs? I know what a dweeb,
Oh,
DWEEB is a dweeb. Is kind of like a nerd,
dweeb?
but people don't really
I
use
thought
that
it was
word anymore.
weeb.
Is that an American word or is that a Japanese saying?
I think it's an American word.
Oh,
Yeah, but
again,
I'm
I don't
like
know.
that. I'm like that to American culture. Like I'm a nerd who loves like American
So,
culture.
so the anime Galverse, they're going to come
Yeah.
out with their anime next year. You're helping with the translation into Japanese. Are you a voice actress for that show, or are you
Oh
doing the
no.
Japan or the characters? And what language are they using that they need a translator if it's Japanese anime?
Yeah, I think they are both in Japanese and English. They have audience in all over the world. So yeah, I'm helping them, but just a little bit.
Have you convinced them to maybe get Trevor Bauer to voice a character? And Have you convinced him to possibly have death metal music as the soundtrack to the Galverse anime?
No, I'm so like behind the scene person, so I try not to stand out, or I just
No, what you can do is you
I
can
like to
just
be humble.
but you can just whisper, Psst, by the way, you should get a baseball player into this. And also put some death metal music in here. You're not asking to forming a band to play death metal. You're just saying, hey guys, you get a bigger audience in this
Yeah.
anime if you have death metal music in here. And then you get the baseball fans in here with having Trevor Bauer be the voice of like a dog. Because I think dogs in Japan and dogs in Canada and dogs in South Africa all sound alike. Rough, rough. And that's it. I'm just trying to collaborate, creative minds. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not telling you what to do, just trying to collaborate.
Yeah, yeah.
A little birdie told me that there was continuing on the subject of art, there was an art exhibit that you may or may not have been a part of last month. Tell us about this art exhibit.
Art exhibit that I had, it was just a small exhibit, and my aunt has been an artist for her entire life, and she invited me to join her.
And what was this art? What did it represent? Where did that inspiration come from your art piece? And if you can describe it, obviously audio, we can't we will have to go onto your social media sites to see that, but describe what you submitted for the art exhibit.
Um, I decided to make art because I was diagnosed by breast cancer, and I, when I found that about, I decided, like, I realized that I have always wanted to create art, try that, but never had. So I thought it was a good time to start doing it. And so I'm really like new to art things. So I'm a little.
We have to start. Everybody starts somewhere. Picasso started somewhere. The great architect I.M. Pei started with, I'm sure I don't know if you know him, but he's a famous American architect. He started probably designing like a door. Everyone
uh,
starts somewhere. So don't be too
um,
humble. And I would love to see more of your work when you post it
thank you.
on social media. And I
Thank
think
you.
that you have all these different places to influence your art because, again, you're a metalhead. You're now the biggest baseball fan in all of Yokohama, and you've got you're a survivor. You've been battled cancer, thank God. You have a lot of inspiration to draw from to express yourself in all these different places. And let's not forget the anime that you're helping work on as well. So I think that's really cool what you're doing in Japan. I'm
Yeah.
always a big fan of like food. And and in the US, since the food has got over the past 20, 30 years, the food has gotten a lot better at baseball stadiums. Before it used to just be hot dogs, popcorn, and peanuts.
Mm,
But over the past, I would say 12, 15 years, things started changing in US baseball stadiums and probably other sports as well, where they tried to bring in local foods or local
oh.
restaurants into the stadium to be like,
Mm.
hey, come and set up a small shop here as a reflection of the food that's available in what do you call it in the city.
Yeah, that
What's one of your
yeah, that's
favorite?
cool because many people travel to go to visitor games,
Yeah, to
I think.
sports games, to baseball games,
Mm.
to music right now. Obviously, the big thing is Taylor Swift, the enemy of the metal heads, because she's too happy and bright. I'm joking. What's like one of your what now that you've been going to baseball games in person? What's one of your favorite foods what's a typical food that they sell in a Japanese baseball stadium?
They did have local food. Like I went to Vantelin Dome in Nagoya for All-Star game, and it was my first time to be at the dome there, and they had Nagoya local food
And
as
what is the local cuisine in Nagoya?
like miso katsu. That's like miso, you know,
The soup,
miso
yeah,
flavored
or not the soup.
pork.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a soup, but it can be like that flavor, miso flavor, and miso flavored pork on sticks.
I,
Yeah,
you,
they have that.
you said it perfectly. People travel to see the
Mm,
sports teams, to see their favorite musicians. People travel to see family, and also people travel for fun. One of the
mm,
countries I've always wanted to go to is Japan.
mm,
If anyone listening is going to Japan sometime soon and they make it and they were like, I'm also a baseball fan. I want to go see some Nippon baseball, Japanese baseball league. And they go and
yeah.
they want to see Trevor Bauer. Where in
Mm,
Yokohama, where you live and you love the team there, what's some local places that you would recommend to get some tea, some food, a drink, maybe even see a metal concert? What are places that
mm,
you would recommend in Yokohama?
yeah. So this is where I work actually. So I work at this bar a couple of times a month for these 4 5 years. The bar is called Master of Dragon, located in Kanazawa Bunko, Yokohama. And what makes this place so special is its unique reptile and alien theme. The owner is a massive fan of the movie Alien, and the bar is filled with super cool alien heads and stunning works of H.R. Giger. And you also find large fish tanks having exotic creatures like morays and horseshoe crabs.
And that's a bar, so you can go get
Yeah.
sake, you can get lager, Japanese lager beer, or anything else.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. I love the name Master of I already forgot it. Master of Death,
Dragon.
Master of
Master of Dragon.
Master of Dragon,
We call it Masdra. But yeah,
Mazda.
Master of Dragon. And but the real stars of the show are the two-headed turtles, the twins.
Well, I think
Have you seen them?
I have seen two-headed serpents. I don't think
Snakes,
I've ever seen two-headed turtles, but I think if you
turtles.
go to the
We used to
bar,
have we used to have two-headed snakes too, but
but then
they
one
died.
head bit off the other.
No, they just died suddenly.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Mm.
All right,
Mm.
so we start the night off at Mazda. What's another?
Mastra.
What's another? One of your favorite places to eat in Yokohama?
Oh, oh, in the same area, Kanazawa Bunko, they have a small Mexican restaurant
A
that I like.
Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty rare. We
Yeah,
have Mexican restaurants, but not as much as in America, so it's really cool. So if you're in town to watch a game at Yokohama Stadium, you can visit that Mexican restaurant
and
and
and what's
also
it called?
Master of Dragon.
What's the Mexican place
I
called again?
well, I
You don't
can't
remember?
remember.
Oh, but
Sorry.
it's what's the
But
neighborhood?
if you look it up, Kanazawa Bunko, so it's like simply like from Yokohama Stadium, you walk to Hinodecho Station and take the Keikyu train to Kanazawa Bunko Station, and which is only 17-minute ride.
Perfect. We already have
Hmm.
two great places to start the night: baseball, music. What more do you want? Nanami, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. I really enjoyed this conversation. Please share
Yeah,
with
me
us
too.
where we can follow you on social media.
Yeah. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Nanami underbar interprets, and I'm also on Twitter at Ray Translator at REI Translator. And yeah, thank you for talking to me. Like we talked a lot about me. I thought I was prepared for like talking about Trevor killing it in Japan. I
Yeah,
gotta
he's
say, and I
he's
also
been amazing.
can I say the Trevor's agent Rachel Luba is awesome?
I know I've seen
Do
pictures
you
of
know?
you too all over Twitter and,
Yes,
and Instagram. Yeah.
yes, we hanged out. She's a remarkable young professional, very intelligent, and it's just so inspiring to see a woman breaking barriers and thriving in the male-dominated sports scene. I truly look up to her.
I noticed that you like breaking into male dominated places like death metal and baseball
Oh yeah, that's
and baseball as well.
right. Yeah, but interestingly, the owner of the Basters team is also a female, which is fantastic. But it's still relatively rare, like especially in Japan. So
Thanks to Nanami for joining us this week. I really enjoyed all that conversation about death metal, Trevor Bauer, Japanese baseball. That's super cool. And as I recorded this podcast, what I've been drinking is called a beer. Ruby Throne. It's a sour red ale from a good American local brewery called Sapwood Cellars in Columbia, Maryland. And I've been saying this now for months. Sour beers are my jam now. I don't know why. I used to always hate sour beers, but they've gotten a lot better. And you know what's gotten a lot better? Our social media, I think. Maybe not. You can check it out for yourself on Instagram, Last Call Baseball, on Twitter, Last Call 4040. And for the podcast, go ahead and give us a rating and review if you want, just before you go off to the beach and enjoy the last month of summer. Thanks for listening to Last Call Baseball. Get home safe.